how to deal with a partner who just won't stop nagging, how to handle tricky situations at work, how to handle a stubborn child, how to choose which political side to pick, how to handle a difficult friend or a tiring relative. In all such situations where decision making can get really tricky, two golden rules that you can follow are: number one, what does love look like right now? And number two, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Let's build more on this in today's thought provoking video, and let's make it a decision making masterclass. Rule number one is, what does love look like right now? Now, I think two of the most important bits in this rule are love and right now. Love, because I think it's very natural that the best decisions that you take in your life are always taken out of love and not out of fear or hatred or jealousy or anger or ignorance, etc. All of your best decisions are always taken out of love, are always taken out of understanding of the other person, of the situation, of the bigger picture, etc. And therefore, you should always ask yourself before taking an important decision, what does love look like right now? Now, love and kindness can actually take various different forms. Quite honestly, love is not always the mushy mushy goodness that we usually associate with it. I mean, love can sometimes look like hugging the person in front of you, but sometimes it can also look like maybe explaining something to someone in front of you or correcting them for that matter. Love could also look like walking away from that situation. Could be self love. Love could also look like staying with the person but not really explaining them something that they're not ready or they're not willing to listen yet. All of these things can be love. And therefore, you have to look at the entire situation, the bigger picture of the situation, understand the situation, and ask yourself before making a decision, what does love look like? One of my very early podcast episodes, episode 7 of season 1, was when I actually talked about this very thing. What does love look like in different situations in your life? I think those early episodes were amongst the most profound episodes I produced on the Unlearning Playground. Of course, they were simply audio episodes and not video episodes, but I would highly recommend going through that episode because that will really help you understand this entire concept of love and kindness and how it can take various different shapes and how this understanding can actually help you take better decisions in your life. The next most important bit in this rule are the words right now. What does love look like right now in the present moment? I stress on that a lot because quite often in our lives, we are so hooked up with what has already happened in the past, what our experiences have been, that that past, instead of teaching us as to how we should act in the present moment, it almost clouds the present moment. And various manifestations of that could look like, this is what love used to look like when this relationship started. This is what love used to look like when I had just started this job. This is what love used to look like when this kid was 1 year old, or 10 years old, or 6 year old, etc. Instead of considering the present situation, we are so hooked up with what has already been in the past or what our actions used to look like in the past that we let them overshadow the present moment itself. One more manifestation that this can take is, what does love look like according to my guru or my teacher or this religious idol who wrote this book or gave this teaching 300 years ago or 3000 years ago or 30,000 years ago, etc. I hope you get the gist. If life is anything, it is something that is evolving. If anything is constant, it is change. And therefore, we have to always remember that before taking any important decision, all of the decisions that you can think of about your relationships, your job, your career, your which political party to support, etc., etc. In all of these decisions, you have to ask yourself, what does love look like right now? Right now. And now on to the second rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Now, I think this is quite a profound rule, quite a practical rule also. And I think it's also something that's very obvious to people. But still, there are a lot of nuances that should be talked about when talking about this rule. For example, I think a better version of saying this could also be, do unto others as they would have you do unto them. What I mean is, quite often, like we talked about previously also, our ideas of love and kindness can be relative. Our ideas of love and kindness can be different for different people at different times. For example, not everyone is a hugger. So if you feel good, if someone hugs you when you're feeling low, that doesn't mean that every person that you see feeling low also wants to be hugged. And also, some people, when they are low, just want to be left alone. Some people, when they're feeling low, they want to talk it out. And therefore, you have to consider, what does this person want, and that is how you should act. That is the decision that you take in such situations. So do unto others as they would have you do unto them. That's a good one, isn't it? Another manifestation of this rule, which I feel is quite profound and quite practical and quite applicable in our everyday lives, is, what would I want to be done if I had to suffer the consequences of the decision that is about to be taken right now? Quite literally, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you were at the receiving end of the decision that is about to be taken right now, would you really be okay with the decision that you're taking or you're supporting, etc.? Now, I think this is something that you can always think about, especially before taking decisions when it comes to which political party to support, or even in your day to day life, in your career, for example. If you are a manager in your workplace, if you can influence decisions in your workplace, you should always consider, would you be okay but if you had to suffer the consequences of the decision that is about to be taken right now? Personally, when I became a manager in my workplace, one of the first things that I thought about was that I do not want to be the toxic manager that I had when I was an employee, that I hated when I was an employee. You know the kind, the micromanaging one, the one who you could never really trust, the one who never showed trust in you, and therefore you could never really see whether this person is doing something for you or against you, etc. The one who would always be questioning every single little detail and never make you feel comfortable at work, the one who would apply extra pressure on you even if it's not needed. I would not want to be an employee subjected to such a manager, and therefore I would not want to become such a manager myself. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. These two rules also featured in our Beyond Politics video series, where I sat with my good friend Rocco Jarman and we discussed everything about politics and beyond politics. If you haven't checked out that video series yet, I would highly recommend you doing that, because I feel it is a game changing series that hasn't really received the traction as of now that it deserves. And well, talking about it, I think that is true for a lot of content on the Unlearning Playground, but all in good time, I hope. Well, okay then, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, like this video and share it with your friends so that they can have an attempt at upgrading their consciousness too. Until next time, peace out.